Welcome to this Friday edition of the Hot Seat, where we have panelists and journalists to discuss and dissect into very topical issues that happen throughout the week. My name is Derek Wandera. I'm the host for this show tonight. And with me here, I have a copy of the Daily Monitor. Out of bounds is what the big story is there. In terms of the number of roads, about 8 of them across Kampala are closed, and we have had reports that we lose about 500 million every day because of traffic jam. Now it's a menace all over with the closure of 8 roads across Kampala. I don't know what that means. That figure might actually triple. There are big stories how Trump tariffs might impact Uganda's economy, off limits, uproar after the public roads. Yes, that's the story done by the senior Isaac Mufumba there, and quite many other stories, big political pieces, right, in the Saturday Monitor. I have a bevy of, like many people can say, of topics, but tonight I'm going to be zeroing down onto one of them, and then the others will come, and that's Umeme. Of course, Umeme, UEDCL transition, it's getting hotter. This story after the handover of the Umeme after the handover of power. We thought this story was going to die, but not yet, not as yet. In studio, I have Jimmy on my left from the civil society. You're welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks for having me. And the handover of power is a very interesting.
Yes, a tagline there. Next to him is my very good friend Jonan. I've been telling him that my entire place in Chisasi, down to Chisasi police station there after Ndundu, when you slope down, we do not have power, and we've not had power for about 4 days.
We are going to sort you out. A very good evening to our listeners on KFM. Welcome to the Big Switch. We are now fully in charge, and I am officially turning my back. Where the lashes are coming from, I'll receive them. But I want to really start on a lighter note to confirm to Ugandans that everything is going to be very, very well. We are going to enjoy the service.
The handover was successful.
Handover was very successful. Or I don't know whether we call it power, but we received the distribution instruments to continue managing the asset of distribution in this country, formerly managed by Umeme. And we are so delighted that at least they were paid the money that government owed them. And we continue with the service, to be honest.
Jonan, I hope it's not cliche for everyone from Uganda, the government of Uganda, saying the money will come. The power will come.
but I was here and I said the money will come. Derek, and it came. Umeme was paid for sure. So when I said the power is going to come. It's 24 hours now. Close to, we're making 36 hours. Quite a number of challenges, to be honest, Derek. Our listeners outside there, I know there are areas which have been in blackouts for about 3 weeks. Some actually even months. Even in the village, a community where I come from, by the way, I've also been in a blackout for about 3 weeks.
Hey.
Yes. So it is not really something that I can say it's an enjoying environment, but it's really a problem that we're trying to navigate through. Different areas we have already started sorting out, but I believe by the end of the week, we should be good to go.
Next to him is Franklin Draku, who has been on this story quite in and out for the Daily Monitor. And Franklin Draku actually witnessed the power handover. Welcome to the show, Franklin.
Thank you, Derek, and good evening, listener.
Yeah.
For me, I'm yet to see the transition because I was in blackout when the transition happened, and I'm still in blackout, so I don't know what will
Since
happen.
We discussed last Friday.
Yes, since last Friday.
That's a long time.
So that's the situation.
Let's quite dig deep into this, and I want to begin with you, Jonan. The concerns that are raising mainly about power blackouts, and I was reading a piece today in the Daily Monitor, and Frederick Musesi tried to take us down memory lane of the UEB, where he tries to describe how they had a schedule when you were supposed to have power and when you were not supposed to have power. I had the chicken in my fridge. It has gone bad. I have to throw it away. Now, for me, I'm just an individual. There's so many customers, there's so many businessmen out there who have kept things in their fridges, and now they have gone bad, and you can just imagine the kind of losses they're going through.
A painful experience, to be honest. Apologies to all Ugandans who have been in a prolonged outage. It is not the best experience, I can assure you. And if I was not really man enough, I wouldn't even have come on this show to speak to my 2 customers who have not had power for about 3 days. The other maybe leverage I have, that they have been in a blackout even before I took over, but that's no excuse that we shall not restore power. Derek, I want to just share the picture of how the distribution asset looks like from first to date. The reports we have, we received a report of 176 faulty transformers on 1st of April across the country.
170?
Yes. 176 faulty transformers across the country. As I came on air, we have received more reports about other 20 transformers across the country are faulty. Now, this again speaks to what I came here last time to discuss, the issues around investments. When we were overemphasizing on the need for investment capital, sometimes we were made to think that we are basically just looking for money. We are not looking for money to do serious things. But this situation alone continues to overemphasize why we need consistent and continued investment in the distribution sector. And I know by the time we get out through this period, at least Ugandans will have a smile. From Monday, we started dispatching transformers to the different parts of the country. And tomorrow, we shall be dispatching more. At least we know by the end of next week, the most painful long outages that we have had across the country should be able to be sorted out. But we really request for calm. And it is not something that is very, very, very fond of asking from a person who has had a blackout to come here and I tell you as a utility operator that please, we need you to be calm. But I need to request you to be calm. We have a lot that we are trying to put together to ensure that reliability returns to most of our homes, and we see the light coming back.
I just want to interject there because we want to understand what the cost is for maintaining a transformer or even getting a new one, because we know that you got some support, a loan from ABSA of about $70 million US dollars. Is this something that is enough to take you? Because looking at the figures, about 1.3 trillion is what's projected to be spent in the next 5 or so years. Is this enough money?
Okay, on the other side of money, I honestly don't want to say that we don't have money, even if we may not have physically touched the ABSA money. We already have the money to help us manage this transition. The other issue that I think we need to appreciate is how delicate this transaction has been. It has not been a normal transaction, and people may really look on the other side of the ISO and think probably we have inherited very big stores, we have inherited and this is really speaking into the fact that Umeme has not invested here for the last 2 years. And that one, I think, Derek, even when I came here, I did overemphasize that the distribution segment is thirsty. And the problem with the distribution sector, when it starts collapsing, the collapse is seen all over. It's not something that can happen on one go and everything is normal. You'll see a spillover. Now, this calls a lot on our side to ensure that we engage our people who are supplying us these fast-moving products. The beautiful part is most of these things that we're talking about, the transformers, are locally made here. Already we have sent out orders. We have given orders to these factories to produce as many transformers as possible. By the end of the week, we'll have more orders coming through. To me, I think it is just a bad note. We have started on a bad note, but this is not how the story is going to end. And I want to really confirm this to Ugandans that the situation is going to change. Speaking into the aspects of money, you'll appreciate that also towards the end of last week, there was quite a lot of uncertainty on our side of our concessionaire. They issued a statement even here in the Daily Monitor with the indications of what they felt is going to happen if the money had not landed on the account. So there has been a lot of uncertainty, especially towards the apex of this transaction. But at the end of the day, as I did confirm to you, that government is actually going to pay the money. Indeed, government paid the money. So we want to see to confirm to Ugandans that we shall have this network revamped, we shall have the distribution assets improved, and we know at the pace at which the thirst of electricity is growing, 12%, we should be able to surpass it so that we have that leverage in the coming year, in the next year of investment.
Last on the money, we have also been reliably informed that money is going to be paid by me, Draku, Jimmy, and the other Ugandans in terms of tariffs.
Which money are you referring to?
The money that has been given to Umeme as a buyout. That comes to you as a loan. That's what we understand. Comes to you as a loan, and you have to collect the tariffs from us to pay back that money.
That is not true. I don't know who has given you that angle. Of things. What you should know is government gave us that money, borrowed that money on our behalf, and they have given it to us as a capital investment. Now, whatever return we derive from that money is what we are going to use as seed capital.
Okay.
It is not coming back to your head as me and you, the electricity consumers. The other component that I want you to pick very accurately is the fact that there has been an allowance of a return on investment on the asset, a minimum return on investment, I think about 4.5 of the return of investment, to allow that money to act as seed capital, so that we reduce on the appetite of borrowing in the coming future. Because if we have this money within ourselves, we may not have strong reasons why we'll borrow beyond time. So that's really the motive, the rationale. So it's not the other way around.
Okay, I want to come to you, Franklin, now who has been on this story. As you witnessed the entire power...
Big switch.
The big switch. not the power handle. The big switch. As you witnessed it, what do you get out of that? But also, he's here to answer some of the questions probably you might have generated from your kind of writings and reporting.
Thank you, Derek. First of all, I like the optimism these guys are showing. My only challenge is that Ugandans talk big, deliver little. And going by what is happening, we hope this time we're not only going to talk, but walk the talk. Because when you see power sector, it's very critical in development of this country. And any mistake that originates from whether generation or transmission or distribution is likely to affect the entire economy, the livelihoods of so many people. And therefore, we only pray that we get the best out of it. For both a user but also a person who demands accountability on our investments, I'll not be shy away from asking questions and demanding accountability, because at the end of the day, whether it's a loan or whatever the money it is our money. I pay taxes every month. Before even I get my money, they already remove what they want to remove. And when I go and buy something, I also pay another tax. So therefore, I will demand accountability at every point from them. We only pray that things get better, because from the past experiences, government entities have a lot of challenges. We hope before they came, the big switch took place, there were already discussions on how they are going to make this efficient enough, because we've had some of the entities, they have actually been making profits. UEDCL has been singing praises, UEDCL has been singing praises. They have been doing well. We hope it continues and we get the best out of that, because if we don't, the questions are coming.
All right, let's go for a quick commercial break, and when we return, I'll bring in Jimmy, and we shall continue with this conversation after. KFM, welcome back from the quick commercial break. My name is Derek Wandera, still taking you through this hot seat where I feature panelists and journalists to discuss topical issues of the week, and we are handling Umeme UEDCL concession, but also the transition, which has already happened, but now the after effects seem to be coming forward. But we have the man from UEDCL, Kiza Jonan, who is the spokesperson there, trying to tell us that there is very bright light at the end of the tunnel, and we are yet to know where the tunnel is going to end. Now, I want to bring you, Jimmy, in everything that's happening and the patches of darkness that are happening in this city, but also across the country. Because last week, someone was coming from Lira and was telling us Lira, Jumani, and all those neighboring districts have Oyam, all have dark patches. What do you think could be something that the UEDCL should be looking into at this point?
It's a very difficult one. You know, when a transition takes place, I think prior to the change, maybe maybe people stopped investing in many things. 2 years ago, yeah. So that really they'll have to deal with some of what they have taken on the problems, the challenges, the problems those people maybe could have dealt with. So it's not like both of you have said, you're in darkness, there's no power. They are going to, it's now their time to show that they are going to work by handling the issues that they've taken on. Given the promises by John and here, I think they're ready to work, and soon you will see light in your houses, those who do not have. I think it's going to be... there's a sort of prophecy of doom that it might not be easy, but it's up to them to show that they'll do better. Omeme definitely did a lot of good things, and one wonders why, if something is working, why would you change it if it's working? Perhaps government would have bought more shares, and Omeme was listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. They could have bought more shares and become the #1 shareholder, bigger than NSSF, and then maintain the human capital and everything to make things work better. But how they came to the decision that was taken, one wonders. But Jonan says it's a very complicated thing to explain now why that approach was taken. But they're up to a very difficult task. You know, when your predecessor does very well, then you have a difficult task to do better. Yeah.
There's already a benchmark set, and you can't go below that.
I know for sure the complexity of this whole thing. I know even when UEB, I mean, even when Umeme was taking over from UEB, of course they also got quite a number of challenges. But I want to come to you again, Kiza, that the gloom and the impending kind of difficulty that you're facing is certainly a reality. 176 transformers broken down over the past 2 years, like you've said, and then another 20 as you gather when you're coming here. That puts it at about 200 of them, and one wonders how long it's going to take for this to settle. But also, I know that you've been already struggling with the whole what you would have called the rural electrification project going across the country. Now, here you have a whole thing sitting on your back. How are you going to handle it with all those transformers down?
Thank you, Derek. I think the issue in the old service territories UEDCL has been manning is not about the transformers and other assets that we use in powering energy. There are a number of other related problems. Some of them are community related. Some of them are related to the seasons that we are in, the seasons of rain. They tend to really mistreat some of the infrastructure that transmits power to the different parts of the country. But it's really something that I want to share hope. We are not saying we are going to do this thing in 2 days and we ensure that everything comes to normalcy. No, that surely is not possible. And I don't think I have said it before on the show. But I have basically done a projection of the responsibility that is ahead of us as UEDCL. And we know the task for sure, Derek. We did a status of the network report. We know how this network looks like point by point, GPS by GPS. We know where we need to touch base. And even when we are coming up with a projection of investing $70 million, we are coming from a point of knowledge because we knew what it takes to revamp the entire distribution system. So, we are really appreciative that government has been able to avail us a channel where we are going to get money to invest in the network. And the regulator has been very considerate of us, and they have been able to give us money also equally, to invest prior to the coming of the other monies that are coming from the banks. So a lot needs to be done in a short time, and that we are aware. We are not shunning away from the fact that we shall be coming here to discuss issues of energy, irrespective of the status. I know, Derek, you could be looking at me with a different eye, but I am not going to run away from you, and I'm not going to run away from listeners. Where we have challenges, we have to share them, we have to discuss them, because some of these challenges, to be very honest, we are incurring them, we are carrying them on in this space. But we are not saying that it is a problem that we cannot salvage. It's a problem that we are going to solve. Let me also speak into some other aspects. You know, like right now where we are, the entire central business district. There is, for example, an aspect of planning, and I was discussing with somebody today in the afternoon that you'll find in residential areas, some people are doing some kind of mini production of certain things. The consumption of energy in areas where people put up equally disrupts the quality of supply. You find somebody has put a mini factory, but the houses around him are residential houses. So it means he's going to disrupt, the flow of electrons, because he's going to suck out more. And that means people within that area won't have adequate supply. You'll find other homes are owned, other homes are not owned. So it is really a blend of certain things that needs to be put up right. And I think it is one of the moral reasons why government is setting up industrial centers and industrial load centers in different areas outside areas of people's homes of residences. So it is a challenge, but we also have to bear in mind that when we are using energy, especially in these areas where we put up, we need to put things that are commensurate with existing loads. That's why, actually, to some extent, we are finding so many faulty transformers across the country. It is an issue of where does this kind of business apply. In some areas where a person needs a 3-phase, you'll find you have only one single phase, but somebody has put a milling machine, somebody has put a show machine, and I mean these are really drunkards when it comes to electrons. So you realize that along the way you'll have a lot of instabilities in power. But let me also speak about the issue of outages outside the central business district. Come to really rural areas. They are both geographical challenges, but some of them are challenges that are human related. I'll give you an example. Areas where lines are traversing through forests. It is a season of rain, but also people want to harvest their trees to make a livelihood.
Felling trees.
Yes, felling trees. Yes. So the lumbering business also is affecting us so greatly. And somebody cuts a tree, he doesn't care. I mean, the tree is his. It is your electricity poles that are in his land. You lose like 7 poles. Now, losing 7 or 8 poles at a go because of one person's activity, human activity, affects the entire sets of districts because these power lines are interconnected. So you'll find if you have a problem, say for example in Isinjiro, you're going to affect the entire feeder up to the other last point. So if you don't have an alternative feeder that is supplying that area, people will be in blackout.
But then that speaks a little bit more into the conversations you have with people who own this kind of land and having the poles going through their land. What kind of conversations do you have with them? And in such a scenario, how can that person be held accountable?
To be honest, it is a mutual conversation because UEDCL does not buy what you call a corridor of power. For us, we don't buy. We believe people need this power, and thus we bring it to them. So we negotiate. We ask them to allow us to put these poles in anticipation that they are going to actually connect to this electricity. Because for us, our nature of our voltages are these ones that go into your homes. So we basically deal so much into that mutual understanding. We agree with the landlords and they allow us to pass through these poles. We give them the power. The power will be available to them. They will connect to it. I mean, it is their infrastructure at the end of the day. So we may not really whip them why probably certain things choose to go wrong. There is no such aspect even in the law where we can actually hold them accountable. It's not there. I mean, it's a voluntary coexistence between us and these people. But in some instances, some people are really responsible. You find local leaders coming up to help us when it comes to clearing of these lines, because that's also another big trouble. When you come to do line clearance, somebody will want you to pay his trees, before you cut them. Okay, they might have a point, but sometimes when it comes to the flow of electrons, you realize there's something that, again, the community is going to lose. But we continue to sensitize our communities. And actually, Derek, also in some areas where we have found, yesterday I missed a space on the northern Baraza, we have had over 77 poles burnt to ashes because people are preparing gardens. And you find districts like Amuria, Anoia, they are off supply. Why? Because the feeding lines are all burnt to ashes. But who is burning these things? It is us, the communities, because we want to prepare land for farming. So there are things that we need to drop as countrymen. There are things we need to discourage as colleagues in the Fourth Estate, so that we have a direct contribution to the reliability index. Because I did say this reliability of power has a twofold dimension. There is what we are supposed to do as consumers of energy, but there is also what is required of us. Power theft, very common today. People are stealing energy like no man's business.
Kiza, let's go for a quick commercial break, and when we return, I'm going to ask a little bit into the kind of conversations you are having in terms of sensitization and appreciation of the power that people are owning in their homes. Let's go for a quick commercial break. Welcome back from that quick commercial break. My name is Derek Wandera. I'm still having Jimmy, I have Jonan, and I have Franklin to dissect the big elephant in the room today, which is UEDCL Umeme transition. And we have the spokesperson of UEDCL, Jonan. Kiza, I want to ask you one small question before I go to Franklin here, because he has been covering this story quite in-depthly. In terms of, because you've spoken so much about the challenges that they are in terms of burning the poles, felling of trees that are putting down most of those electric lines and stuff like that, that digs deep into the kind of sensitization, the kind of ownership the communities have with these transmission lines and stuff like that, but also the number of substations that we're talking about. How are we moving forward in terms of sensitization? Is there some manual that UEDCL is developing countrywide and using all the different platforms? From
early this year, we have started doing what we call community activations, where we partner with media houses like now this one.
Have we?
You have not invited us. When you invite us, we shall come. But those that have invited us, Derek, we have gone down to the listeners in these communities and taken advantage of. I mean, there are people who want to see your face. Yeah. That when Derek says stop stealing energy, some people will hear your voice and they stop. So we have leveraged on some of those chances that we have got, and we have a strategic plan that in this particular year we are going to be going down to the last person. To engage them, teach them their rights. And most people don't even know even their rights when it comes to aspects of energy. So we want to really build that bond, that a consumer knows that these things have been established for their own social cause. So as you did rightly ask, yes, we do. We engage communities. And we are going to intensify that. Now we have come into these big cities where we believe that if we rallied some big voice, especially on some of the challenges that we are having, we should be able to walk through. But also there are going to be a number of campaigns that we have put in place. We are not going to be only driving new connections in communities where probably we are experiencing a lot of vandalism. We are going to be using an approach which is both sensitization but also bringing light to people. We come engage you but also bring you the facilities close to you. We want also to take advantage of so many other good programs of government that are in existence, like the Energy Scale Up program, which is now fully operational. We are taking it on we have taken it on from Umeme, and we intend to see at least 1.2 million customers being added on the grid. The other great advantages that we have is Ugandans have the goodwill for this change, and we believe that we are going to capitalize on it to ensure that they join us in this campaign of protecting these assets. So generally to say, there is a lot of stock when it comes to engaging communities and sensitizing. And actually, if you realize that we are going to be doing more of this kind of engagements on radios and on TVs to ensure that, and even deep down in the communities, so that we connect people, because we don't want to talk about electricity these people don't see. We want to come talk to you about electricity, but also leave you lighting, but also tell you that this electricity is for free. We are giving meters for free. You only need to pay 30,000. And when I talk about for free, no. What I'm talking about for free, I am not saying that we are going to supply you energy at home for free. But the meter that we're bringing you to your home, you're not buying it. Government is giving it to you for free.
At 30,000?
No, not at 30. The 30,000 Derek I'm talking about is the money that you pay for the surveyor. It is not for the meter. The 6,400 is the initial energy that we leave on that meter when we connect. So to me, I think it is the gospel that we want to preach.
Okay.
Tell people that surely there is in for us. Let us protect these assets. And I believe with that we shall win. The same is true with these investments that we are going to bring, Derek. You know, I don't know whether you have ever been in a panel beating room where they do the garage. If you ever see your car being panel beaten, you may never have the heart to walk back home. So there are things that we are going to be doing, especially on the infrastructure. We are going to panel beat this infrastructure, Derek. We are going to break certain things. We are going to put up certain things. But of course, there will be a causal effect on the end user. Of course, power will not be on when we are doing some of these revamps, when we are doing these upgrades. So it is something that, yes, we are crying for. We want reliable power, but the process of getting that reliable power, I want to honestly prepare listeners that there will be some inconvenience. That one, it is nothing. There is no much we can do. We shall inconvenience our customers, but in a responsible way. For example, we're going to start upgrading substations in Kampala. We should be able to come and run communications, send messages to you that particular area in Owino, you will not have power between 8 and 5 p.m. And when we mean 5, we mean 5, unless you have other force majeures that have come into play, technically, that are beyond you managing the time that you had anticipated. So it is to me really a rally to a Ugandan. It is someone, I was on one space yesterday and they were asking, how much time do you need? Okay, yes, how much time do we need? But the issues that we are discussing, even here on radio, are as old as 2 months. Some of them are even as old as 3 months. So we need time to ensure that we improve this infrastructure, but also we want to beseech you to give us the trust. The other biggest challenge that we have within our country is the lack of trust of these agencies. Of course, you know where you are coming from, but you need to give the benefit of doubt to UEDCL, because we have not just started this business, we have been around. And not just being around seated watching, we have been doing this similar business outside this Umeme concession. Now that this concession is joined, the challenges we have been having of coupling of lines, I don't know when I talk of coupling, I may miss a point. The lines are coupled, and sometimes in terms of issuing commands, we have been getting challenges. One line is manned by Umeme, another line is manned by UEDCL. So the communication in between there, you'll have a lot of delays. And because you are picking from another, you realize if I don't have energy on the other side of maybe another operator, the other section that I am supplying will be off. But that is all history. What now we are looking at is add more investments, improve the network, advanced technology, because we are looking at technology as a very big driver to reliability. And we believe when we are able to put in this and sink in the money that has been availed to us, we should be able to come back with a smile here. I will not find Derek with a very sad face because he has thrown his chicken, and I will also not go back home with and put on an ironed shirt. I mean, we shall all be happy, and that's the Uganda we are aspiring for. That's the service that we look out for. And to me, really, Derek, I want to really take this opportunity to thank Ugandans. I know it is a tough time. And that one I know. It's a tough time. We sometimes also fail to give you the most convincing answer about some of these outages. But let's be patient. And I'm not saying you be patient, be sick. No, be patient. Give us this little time. Let us make this network.
How long?
Someone was saying, at least judge us after 100 days. At least judge us after 100 days. And if you may, judge us after 6 months. It is really adequate enough. I mean, really, to be very honest. But the whole point is, Derek, we are up to task. The team has the right spirit, and we know the challenges that we are going to deal with. It's not that we don't know. That's the beautiful part. And we have the resources. The money is there. We are going to invest.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kiza. I want us to shift gears here. And I want to take my man, my man Franklin Draku, to his home in South Sudan, one of his other homes in South Sudan, where the talks, where the talks
might get in trouble.
Where the talks are.
He's inviting the trouble himself, so you have to be prepared.
President Museveni yesterday traveled to South Sudan to have a conversation between the Vice President and the President of the country, Salva Kiir, and Riek Machar. Just about the conversation. I mean, because of the kind of strife that's happening in that country, a lot is happening. What you read into that, but also bring us to speed exactly where these talks are going and the entire outlook of the AU mission in that country.
Derek, thank you very much. And I am at pain when I see my neighbors. Every time there's a conflict, you have to rush to sort it out, and it's very unfortunate, but we hope they will really sit down and get a solution to this conflict. This is not the first of its kind. You remember in 2013?
Yes.
There was a chaos in South Sudan, and I am a host to refugees, and I see the pain these guys go through when they run this side.
You meaning the people of Arua and West Nile?
People of Arua and West Nile, but me as a person also.
You also
because the urban refugees, they come to us, and we accommodate them. So that's where it is. And when you look at South Sudan, first of all, they have never had any election, a presidential or parliamentary, because in 2010, they had subnational elections where they elected the president to oversee Southern Sudan at that time, because it was still part of Sudan.
Yeah.
And then eventually in 2010, also 2011, there was a referendum that now finally declared South Sudan independent. And 2 years later, then a conflict. They didn't have time to organize elections. And again in 2016, another conflict. So you see the trend has been coming every time. And they were supposed to have elections last year. At the last minute, they postponed it to next year. So basically, these guys have been at war. My only pain is also when there's a conflict in South Sudan, you get
Can you speak close to the mic?
Okay. You get a lot of people rushing their arms to South Sudan, trying to support one side, and right now, if you speak to guys in Juba, there's anger that the South Sudanese are not being given chance to determine their fate. That is the problem. Uganda is a guarantor of the 2018 peace agreement between Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar. And when you see UPDF saying we have sent our forces, we have deployed troops in South Sudan, you would expect that these guys are going to maybe create a buffer zone to de-escalate the conflict, so that they give room for conversation. But when you see photos being circulated that we only recognize one side and we are bombing the other one, it's very unfortunate, because if you are a guarantor, you must stand up to that task and offer that opportunity for these guys to have a conversation. I don't think these guys are impossible to meet. First of all, they live in Juba themselves, and therefore they need time to have a conversation. I've been in Juba a couple of times. Early last year, when Juba and you would see the president's convoy driving. Then you see the vice president's convoy driving. These guys all live in the same city.
Same city, yeah. So, same location.
Why can't they sit down and have a conversation? Because the disagreement between only two people affects the entire nation. You get the latest figure of South Sudanese refugees is about 758,000 living in Uganda, and more are still coming because they are not sure of the situation on the other side.
Let's go for a quick commercial break. When we return, I'm going to ask you what exactly is at the heart of the matter. What is the biggest conversation, and what are the disagreements between the two people? AFM. Welcome back from that quick commercial break. Let's go for our last segment of this show. In 40 seconds, just give us the issues that are hurting Salva Kiir and Riek Machar at this point.
Power struggle. Both want to be at the helm of the leadership in South Sudan, and therefore, naturally, when you see two powerful power centers, there's bound to be conflict, and no one wants to sit ground for the other one. Yeah, so that's the biggest challenge, and I think they should not only think about themselves, they should think about the people who are struggling, who are being sent to refugee settlement. Remember, just a day or 2 days ago, what the Minister for Refugees and Disaster Preparedness in Uganda said, that because in 3 months, donors are pulling out, international donors are pulling out, and he said, we will have no option but to send these guys back. So what happens if these guys go back and yet there's a conflict there? I think as leaders we need to be responsible enough and put the interest of the nation above our selfish interests. Yeah.
Jimmy, what are you reading into this whole thing, and how does it affect, especially when donors are jumping out of the support they're supposed to give you from that civil society organization? So and how is the stress right now? This is
a geopolitical kind of thing. You know, the President Museveni went there, they said he was on a working visit. But before that, you know, Raila Odinga was there trying to, you know, sort the issues, but yes. Dr. Riek Machar was under house arrest. And he said, to meet him, they said, you first talk to President Museveni. But later they denied that. It might have been true, but then why does President Museveni immediately go there on a working visit? And before that, support militarily. Is it sustainable, Uganda always sending UPDF to go and, you know, help? And when they go, like Franklin said, should have been like to take a middle ground, not take sides. But when they go there, they're going to help, you know, Salva Kiir, the president, the SPLM, the ones in power. They're already weak. There are also arguments that the army has not been paid for months. So you have this other army coming, well-resourced, but you're meeting another one that is struggling. So what do you do? So it's okay, when they're going there, you know, the budget they get to for such a mission, that they give the classified, you know, budget for them. But for how long will that go on? The question is about succession there, which is, I don't know in our country whether the succession question has also been answered, but it's a struggle between Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. But you saw in the photograph being circulated it was President Museveni, Salva Kiir, and who? It was
30 seconds,
Bol Benjamin. That is the man they said is now running the show. So the other people feel, and we are told that he's been trying to make some changes, which the people of Dr. Riek Machar are not happy with. So that is creating tensions. The peace agreement that was signed showed that there should be an election, which has been postponed. For how long? There should be a revitalization of that peace agreement. How long will you keep postponing the election? So the question really, the biggest problem there is a question of succession, transition.
I want to bring you, Kisa, in. This is a place that is a perspective of one of your customers in terms of power and or in terms of electricity. But this kind of security strip then certainly affects the kind of relationship and the kind of talks you're going to have. How are you moving forward?
Of course, it affects us. It is amazing that we are discussing issues of power, and there are also issues of power on the other side, but this time political power. But to be precise, honestly, we are looking at the entire East African basket as a market for our energy, which we have here. And that's why we have that consortium called the East African Power Pool. When one of our neighboring countries has a strife, when there is chaos, automatically it feeds, it has a back feed into our economy, and especially on our side of our energy. And Sudan has been a very potential market, and I know even my ministry, where I hail from, there have been ongoing talks to ensure that we have high voltage lines evacuating power to South Sudan, which is a very potential market. So it's not a good story on our side. If things turn into worse, that means that market will be postponed, and that will not be good on our economics, especially the energy economics. And I want to believe that we need to really pray so hard and work so hard with existing power centers, the other side, not power centers in terms of energy, but political power centers, to ensure that they reconcile, so that we also have a benefit. Of course, for us, we are looking at it from a point of view, that when they are at peace, business point of view, that when they have peace, we shall have to have something that we are giving to them in turn. And peace works for us as well.
Unfortunately, that's all we had for tonight. I remain Derek Wandera. I have been with an able panel, and let's meet next Friday. Have a